Peik Lamed Hey. We have to explain better the meaning of the word La'asosei, action. Until now, the Tanya has spoken about developing a connection to Hashem. And he repeatedly says, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, the greatest way to connect to Hashem is through learning Torah. Here the Rebbe says, let's shift focus. Instead of focusing on how special it is to learn Torah and to connect to Hashem, as we had the other day, that when you study Torah, your brain becomes a dida, a home for the Eibishter. Let's focus on the external world, on action. And what's that going to give us? It's going to answer really the $1 million question of the Tanya. Why did Hashem make us to spend your whole life fighting with Yetzer Hara and never finish? V'gam, moreover, we must explain a little bit more. Why did the Eibishter create this creature called the Beinani? That's us. The descent of their souls into this world. To reveal itself in the animal soul, which is from Klipa V'Sitra Achara. Considering the fact they're never going to get rid of the Yetzer Hara their entire life, and to push it out from its place from the left ventricle of the heart, they will never succeed in achieving that they should not ascend from the nefesh habahamis, which is in the left side of the heart, thoughts to the brain. Why? That in a Beinani, the essence of the animal soul, which is klipa, remains in all of its power and all of its strength, just like the way they were born. It don't get weaker, it only gets stronger. Raket is only that this person keeps fighting. And as a result of the perpetual fight, that the garments of the animal soul can never succeed in becoming the garments around the body. That's it.
Does though?
No, there's no Avedis. Everything, Nefesh Elokis wins every second. Says the Alter Rebbe Vim Kain, if that's the case, what's the torture? The souls have descended into this world, to toil purposelessly, chas v'shalom forever, to spend their entire lives fighting with the Yetzer Hara, and they're never going to be able to succeed. Says the Alter Rebbe, the following is going to be their consolation. In fact, to console them doubly. What we're about to say is going to place the Beinani above the Tzaddik. Now in Perek Chav Zayin, chapter 27, the Alter Rebbe already placed the Beinani above the Tzaddik by saying that Hashem gets more nachas ruach from his skafir than he gets from his hapcha, and he quoted the Zayah. Here he's getting out another kvetch. And this is the concept which is known in the Chabad world as Dira Le'ez Barach V'Tachteina, bringing Hashem to the lowest level, which is achieved more through the Beinani than through the Tzaddik. So it's going to be a double consolation. In other words, again, to show how the fight achieves, not just you're doing your best, you're actually achieving something which, so to speak, the Tzaddik cannot achieve. Well, and to give their joy to their hearts in God, which rests with them in their Torah and their Aved. In other words, and even though they're not perfect, they have a Yetzer Hara, their Yiddishkeit is full of God, and they can get joy from it. But it requires that we preface a Zayar from a child, which is one of the points that Rebbe loves to make, that in the times of B'Shim Bayachoy, Kabbalah was so widespread that even little boys and girls learned it. There was no Agbolos whatsoever. And then it became, of course, a secret. There's two psukim that are going to be quoted in the Zayar that follows. The first one is, HaChacham, a wise person, ain't of his eyes, Bereisha are in his head. Frek de Zayar, V'chiba anatar, Ilui, de Barnash Choli. Where then are the eyes of a man, if not in his head? We have them on his sleeve? Of course the eyes of a person are in his head. So what does it mean that the eyes of a wise man are in his head? Elakra hochi huvadai. This is for sure the intent of the pasuk. Ditnan, it says in Teresh Baal Peh. This is halacha miderabbanan, not miderais. Layahach barnash begila dereisha ba'amas. A person should never walk 4 amos without a yarmulke, without his head covered. This is not midiraisa, it's midirabanan. My timer. Why? The Shchinta Sharia Reisha. The Shchinta rests on every person's head. And you keep the yarmulke as your humility, your submission, as you know yarmulke is Yerei Malka, the fear of heaven which is above your head. V'chachachim, every wise man, inuihi umilui, his eyes and his priority is bereisha, is on his head, meaning, inun they are, bahahu, on the one, the Sharia v'kaima that rests and exists, Reisha on his head, which is the Shchinta. When a person's eyes, and when one's eyes are there, Linda, to keep remembering, the Hahu Nahira, that this light, the Adlik al-Reisha, which is burning on his head, namely the Shechina, now he changes this metaphor into a candle. Until now he says, you wear the Shechina which is on your head, and that's why you wear a yarmulke. Now he says that there is a candle which burns on a person's head. And this candle is the Shechina. And your body is the candle. Says the Rebbe, the Zayar says, you need to have shemen. You need to have oil. Begin the gufa, the banash, the body of a person, you psilim, is the wick. And the fire which is burning above, this is the Shechina. King Shlomo screams, and he says, here's the second pasuk: make sure there's no shortage of oil upon your head. What is this oil? The whole this light which is on one's head. Needs to have oil in order to burn, which are the good deeds that a person does. And this is the pshat that a wise man keeps his eye on his head. So there's two issues. Number one, you should constantly focus on the fact that the Shechina is above your head. Number two, and this is more importantly, you need to focus that you need to hold on to the Shechina above your head through the fuel that you provide. What is the fuel that you provide? Uvdin tov and good deeds. What's the Rebbe going to explain? The key is that when you learn Torah, and especially when you do mitzvahs, now this is going to take place. We're going to stop focusing so much on Torah, focus on mitzvahs. There's an act of bittul, which the Rebbe is going to say in the Agor is chokhmah. This bittul is your keli for the Ashras HaShechina. And that's the pshat. Do good deeds every time you do a mitzvah. Even more than when you study Torah. You're bittling yourself to the Eibishter. You're bittling yourself to the Eibishter as a keli for the Shechina which is upon your head. Means, first of all, focus on the Shechina on your head. Second of all, focus on the fact that the Shechina is not going to stay there unless you keep it there. How do you keep it there?